Thanks guys. In this video today, I'm going to take you through the step-by-step guide of how we create high converting email designs inside Figma. I'm going to bring you through the whole process of how we start, how we write the copy, how we design them, how we bring them all the way through and implement them into Klaviyo. So look, this is the exact process that we've used to generate millions in revenue for e-commerce clients in over the last 12 months. And as you can see here, I'm going to show you some of our most highly converting email designs that we've created over the last 12 months. As I said, the goal here is to really bring you on a journey and really understand how to use Figma, the core tools, understand my thought processes when going through and creating an email design, and then once complete, how to actually bring this design from Figma effectively over to Klaviyo and upload it into Klaviyo, and then tick all of the main boxes from a deliverability point of view. So as I said, the main goal here is that you can use this yourself as a template to then refer back to and be able to create highly converting email designs and bring them all the way through to Klaviyo and then send the campaign. Before I move over to the Figma board, I just want to go through why we use Figma and why we try to stay away from the tools like Canva, just from a workflow point of view, and then other tools that we actually do use, which is the Adobe Suite. So the reason why we use Figma is because it's easy to use once you learn the housekeeping rules. The layout is brilliant from a workflow point of view. It's so streamlined, especially when you're creating multiple different campaigns at one time, different flow builds, lots of different things going on. Has all of the capabilities that you need. So it's perfect for exporting and importing, from bringing pictures and images over, and then also from exporting into Klaviyo as well. So from a point of view of Canva, the reason why we do not use Canva is the capabilities are limited, and the workflow point of view is just not really streamlined as you'd need it to be. It's hard to see everything in one place, and then also when you're exporting and bringing it to Klaviyo, just hard to visualize how it's actually going to look. So just doesn't work for our agency and our workflows. But also on the other hand, using the tools like Adobe Suite, Photoshop, Illustrator, etc., they're perfectly go in tandem with Figma. It's great. So if you want to manipulate an image and really make something really high quality, you can import that into Figma and have them both work in tandem. So again, tools we do use in the agency are Figma, and then we'll also use Photoshop and Illustrator where needed. And most of the time you'll actually get through with Figma about 90% of the time. And then if you want to really go high end or high quality, which you'll see a couple of images that we go through today have been manipulated, but other than that, Figma's perfect. We'll try stay away from Canva and then just put some time into learning Figma. But hopefully after today you'll be in a much better position and you'll actually understand the tools and be able to design the emails and then also bring them over to Klaviyo and send the campaign. All right guys, now that we're in Figma, I'm going to show you some of the fundamental tools that you'll need to know, and then also I'm going to talk through the brand styles that we create for every client. It's just something that their designers can refer back to, and we can keep everything really strict and in line with the brand because that is important. And then also the main thing here is that I'm going to bring you through and talk through how we structure the copy for the designs, how we actually create the designs along with some thought processes while creating them and best practices, how we group the design, how we slice it, meaning how we slice and take these groups over and export them into Klaviyo, and then how we implement them, and then finally how we review and some housekeeping rules to make sure that we are implementing in the correct way. So as you can see here, we've got some of the fundamental tools down here. Okay, so we've got a frame, a section, and a slice. The main thing that you need to know here for a frame is that this is where we build all of our campaigns in. So what we do here is we'll create a new frame. It's this kind of little plaster box down the bottom left, and you'll make it 600 pixels. And you can see over here on the right, you can control the width. So I'm going to put in 600, and that's where we create all of our campaigns off. When we're exporting, we'll export 1200. So if I wanted to export something now, I'd click bottom right here, and then I'd hit X2. So that would put it up to 12, and it just basically means that it's going to be really high quality. It's going to be much higher than what 600 would be at one. And then also after that, we're just going to compress it, but we can go through that later on. But that's one main thing, is that this is where all the campaigns are going to lie. So let's say you have a flow build, you'll have all your different frames here with all of your campaigns. Then you'll group them and then you'll slice them, which you'll go through now in a minute. So down here, you'll see your slicing tool. Again, there's little boxes here that we've created for this email design, and then I'll show you how we export them as well. So the goal here is we've created a full design here, but on live now, I'm going to recreate this design. I'm going to walk you through our thought process and why we put things in certain places, and then how to bring it out of Figma too. So firstly, it's worth noting that we always have brand guidelines for each brand. So we'll create our own template that we can use, and it will follow the designers from board to board, just to make sure that we're staying in line with the brand. So it takes some time up front, but it's something to refer back to, and it makes sure that we're always using the correct fonts, the correct sizes, the correct dimensions on the buttons, the correct radiuses, and every client will have a slightly different looking board, but it's just something to refer back to at I suppose within a couple of seconds, instead of going off platform to go and look at the brand guidelines. And especially when you onboard new clients, it's just much easier for the designer to get comfortable with the brand straight away. You deep dive into the branding and go from there. So as you can see here, it's all the same colors as the welcome email that Loop earplugs have created. In this video today, we're going to go through redesigning Loop earplugs welcome email number 1. So again, I think we'll create something slick here. This is what's being created by our designers, and now I'm going to take you through live and recreate it here. So firstly, up the top, we've got our frame. So after creating the frame at 600 pixels, as you can see here, just to double check, it's 600, right? Now, the next step is we want to start building this. So as you can see here on the left-hand side, we always bring the copy over and we put it into a frame on the left-hand side, and we really just go through a step-by-step just to give the designer a bit of an idea of what we're thinking. So the account manager will come in here and we'll go H1, subheading, CTA, call social proof, and then the graphics underneath. So it's up to the designer now to go and look, we'll probably be briefed with these graphics anyways and the pictures, but they know the structure now, that there's a triangle type effect here that's happening. So as you can see here, I'm just going to spin this around and I'll make it white. The goal here of a really effective email design and kind of everything in advertising is that you want to make sure that you're funneling the user's eyes straight down to the call to action. So you can see here that the user is going straight into this call to action. They're coming on, they're reading the H1, they're seeing the subheading, now they're seeing the CTA and the social proof underneath with the graphics. That's all that most people will actually get to. So let's put the best foot forward and have the correct structure up top. So I'll just leave this here as a reference point. Always try use it as a triangle, and you can have like H1, subheading, CTA, social proof, and then the graphics underneath. And then again, some more social proof underneath, which is the benefits and the USPs. So you can see here, the designer they perfectly followed the brief. You've got the copy underneath, which is the body copy here. You've got the CTA, which then that can change. It's join and save 10% now, but this could be embrace, quiet, discover loop. Again, answering some of those objections. And then you've got some of our most populars, which is the best sellers. You've got the 3 products, which are these. And then underneath that, you've got what's new. So you've got the 𝐂𝐬𝐿 earplugs, and you've got the other switch too. So again, a partnership down here, some graphics, and then you've got the footer. So although this looks really complex, when you break it down from a structure point of view, it's not too complex, and that's why we've got some of the assets here on the right hand side laid out. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start creating the design. So as you can see here, your ears will thank you. So what we want to do here is you want to come down here, you can create a text box, and then as you can see here on the right hand side, we've got the typography, and then we've got the size. So if you want to make the size, make it bigger, you just click on this, and then you can bring it up to whatever you think you need it to be. But for now, let's just keep it 107, and we'll keep it to the same structure as the design on the right hand side. So I'm just going to click here, I'm going to paste and match the style. So I'm just going to bring this up and bring these down just so we keep in the structure. Okay, and we'll bring this down here. Okay, so that's perfect. And then one thing that we need to do up the top here is that we also need to add this little bar. So to add this little bar here is you'll want to be going with a square. You can zoom in right to the left hand side and zoom back out and bring it over. So that's perfect there. Right, now we need to check, okay, what is the text size? So it's 92, we've got 20 text size and the font. So again, what you do here is you come in here and you can put in text box. But again, just to keep it simple, you can literally just type in your whatever you need to there. But I'm just to keep this simple, I'm just going to bring it over and paste it in here. Okay. And then also we want to make the box white. So on the right hand side, you'll see the fill. You can come down here if it's an off color. We know it's going to be white, but you can literally just use the paint icon and click this, and then that'll work. Okay, so bring this up and let's keep this in line. As you can see here in the background, we've got a picture of a road. It's a funky image, pretty cool. So on the right hand side here, we've got the image. So to click that, you can actually see, all right, you can see this image is actually being manipulated by the designer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this image over onto the left hand side. Okay, so as you can see here, here's the image in the background. Okay, all right, so that looks good. And now what we want to do is we want to bring it to the back. So what you can do here is, just let me find this image, bring it all the way down. I'm going to bring it up a little bit more. Okay, 1 second. It's in the wrong frame. Now. So as you can see here, we've got the image. It's in correctly. It looks exactly like the right hand side. It's in the background. And now what we want to do is we want to put text over it. So again, let's bring the text up here. Let's take this text here, copy it, paste with the style, right? So that's perfect. And now if we want to create a button. So look, I'm going to show you how to create a button here. What we usually do is you can create first of all, you can come up here and take the button because it's in the brand guidelines, or you come down here, you put a box in and you just drag the top right up. So now, that's the button, and we want to make this white. So we'll hit this and we'll hit our little pin and come over and click that. Now we want to add in the text. Again, if you want to add in the text here, so you want to just click the text icon, click on this, and then fulfill the exact same dimensions as the button. But in this case, let's just look at what the button is. So it's 27, it's 92 line height, and it's the outfit font. So again, let's just take this over, put it into our design, and then also, if you want to see the button here, you can see that the corner radius is this, and then the height and the width is 280. So the width is 280 and the height is 270. So 280, and then the width is 71, height is 71, and then we can bring this up here. Right, so that's perfect. We've got the hero in. Okay, and now the next thing that we want to do is add in the social proof. So again, text, put the text underneath here, but in this case, I'm just going to bring it over for ease of use. So now we've got the hero image created. So as you can see here, we've got the triangle effect. So as you can see, perfect. Starting to funnel the user's eyes down into the CTA, that's following the correct structure. So everything is set up correctly here. And now I'm going on to the graphics. So the designer here has imported some rocks and pictures of the loop earplugs, and again, as you can see here, they've cropped the design. So to crop the design, you just click on the picture, and then you can come in here and you can either fit it, you can crop it, and in this case you can see that there is many of other rocks, but they just wanted to keep one. So again, with the loop earplugs, you can see which loop earplugs they brought in. So they brought in 2 of here, and they brought in ones on the other side, and they've embedded them in the frame. Again, we've got some more rocks down here, and then some pictures. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to group all of these together. There's also a little gradient or a radial here. So what that is that's a fill, but it's a different style. So you can have a linear, which is basically just like a box. Then you've got you can have like a gradient, which is this one here. But then on the radial, it's just like a little bit of a glow, and you can change the colors and all that stuff there too. So I'm just going to group all of this together. Again, there's another radial there, and just to give it a light effect and make the earplug stand out. But let's just grab all of these rocks and bring them over to the left hand side. So now you can see once you bring them into the frame, they will all go behind. But so we have them all together, I'm going to just group them. So if I need to move these again, I'm not going grabbing like one by one. I can just right click and group them. So I'm happy with how this looks now. It's exactly how it looks on the right hand side. And you can see the group on the left hand side over here is the I'm just going to name it as the graphics main. So the graphics main up top, and you can see that they're up the top of the frame, which means that these are going to be on top of the layer. So now that we've got that complete, we've got some copy in the back, which we can add later. It's not necessary that we need to actually add this, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in some of these pictures. So what we're doing here is, this is basically, you can see that they've just created like some boxes. So what they've done here is they've brought the radius in of the outline. So there's 3 here. We again inspect the size of them. So we've got 212, 212, and 212. So let's remember that the frame is only 600 pixels wide. So this is 636 pixels wide, which means that there's going to be some overflow on the outside of each. So again, 212 like this, and we bring this over. We've got someone here, then we've got a gap, and then we've got another one. Oops, another one over here. So again, some overflow, but you get that this is the exact same structure. And then what you do is, when you have a new picture, you just come in, you can copy and paste the picture in here. So once you have a picture downloaded, you paste it in, and then that will just slot straight into the block. So let's just say I clone this and I bring it out, and I can bring this back in. I copy this, and you can see here it just goes straight in once I paste it. So what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to bring these over. I'm going to group them and bring them over to the left hand side. So you'll see here that they're in the frame and all looks good. So again, what we can do is you can just put some of this text in the background if you'd like. So what you could do here is, if you can't grab it sometimes, is you just bring it over here like that. Again, you can bring it to the back then, and then if you want, just bring these down. So I know that there is some radials there and everything, but that's exactly how it looked before. So that's the top part of it. Now we want to build the benefits section. So what we need here is the 12,000 5-star, the 2-year warranty, and 100-day free returns. So we've got some of the icons down here on the right hand side, but I'm going to show you how to build this. So what we would do is, again, we make a box, we put a bit of a radius on it. We can then change the colors to the same as the box, which is, it's a slight bit of a radius on that. And then if you want to add an outline or a stroke to it, basically just click on the stroke over here on the right hand side. You can change the weight, and then if you want to change the color of the stroke, you just come up here top right. But we're going to go with just like a 1, and we're going to make a little bit more of a radius, and then that should be pretty similar to what we have on the right hand side here. So again, if you want to refer to what that is, you can see the width here is 528 and the height is 205. So 528 and 205. 205. All right, and that's exactly how it's looking. Bring that to the center. You'll see this little red line pop up in the center. That means that everything is centralized, so which is great. So then what we want to do is we want to import the icons. So again, we've got our assets down here. Always try come prepared, and it just saves time. So instead of going and looking and going off platform, if you can have everything ready, well then that just gives the designer pure and clear clarity to just keep designing and not needing to go off the platform. So again, what we're looking for here is that red line down the center. So what we'll do here is, you'll see it just catches, and then again we want the other one. So instead of me going down to the assets at the bottom right, I'm just going to bring this over and centralize it. You'll also see that there's some lines here, and these lines have like a gradient throughout it. So these are just strokes, the line has a stroke. So again, if you want to create that, you can just come in here, you can create a line, you can bring it down in the center, shift up and drag it down to make sure that it doesn't go off center. And then again, if you want to create your gradient, you can just click this and you can mess around with the style of the gradient. So again, if you want to create that's how you do it. And then once you click off, you'll be able to see that's pretty similar to the right hand side. And then what you can do is you can just copy, paste, and bring it over. So again, what we're going to do next is the text. So same rules apply. You click your text icon, you bring your text in. So again, just as reference point, let's look at it here. So One thing to note, when a design comes from Figma over into Klaviyo, always remember that this here is going to be an image, because you can't create this on Klaviyo. So this is all going to be an image. So we need to make sure that this text here is actually a big enough font that when the frame gets and the dimensions get brought in on mobile, it's a lot smaller. It's only about 400 pixels breakpoint. So desktop is a lot bigger and it's going to look great. But on mobile, you need to make sure that the text is big enough so when the image does get compressed on a smaller device, that you can still see it. So in summary, if this is 24 and it's fine now and it's perfect, and it will still look really good on mobile. But if this was 21, this was like, sorry, this is the line height. If this was a lot smaller on mobile, it will get compressed and it will look even smaller again. So just as a note on that one, always make sure that when you're slicing an image and you're bringing it over to Klaviyo, just bear in mind that you need to make sure that your text that you're slicing, that's actually going to be an image, is actually big enough so it doesn't get compressed on mobile. So just always double check that. So again, we've got the body text here. What we do here is this would actually be a text block. This wouldn't be an image in Klaviyo. And again, the button, we'd probably just have this as a actual button in Klaviyo. So using the platform's tools on that one, and then also this would probably be text here from Klaviyo too. So this wouldn't be an image, and then we can control it through the styles tab on Klaviyo of how to actually, change the size on mobile and then the size on desktop. So also I just want to refer here, we've got some other assets that we can also use in the background here if we think are relevant to the design. So for example, you could put like this in here in the background, in behind the plugs. I think that would look pretty cool. You can see here that they're just starting to sit on it now. So again, you always have just extra assets that you can make the design look a little bit slicker, and the rock stands out a little bit more here now. And now we're into the buttons. So again, as I said, it's pretty similar to what we had before. You can either use the button on Klaviyo or you can use it here. Let's just bring this down to make sure all of it is in line. And then the next part is the products. So again, this looks really confusing. I know it is bespoke and it does take a little bit of time setting up, but it makes the design look stand out a lot more. So as you can see here, we've got, this would be an image. So again, we create our most popular. We can bring this slightly to the left. Again, the same rule applies as you just hit the text and you can see what size it is here. So 77.7 line height, the space, and then the color as well too. So what we want to do here is we've got this template here is the exact same as this one. And then this one here, if there's a fourth one, we'd be looking to create a template that we just bring underneath. So you can just do 3 or 4, but once we get the first one down here right, everything should apply after that. So again, I'm not going to go through how to set it all up, but basically I'm going to talk you through how it would be set up, and then I'm just going to bring it across. So what we've got here is we've got the pictures of the earplugs. So we just need to bring these in and sit them here, right? So they're going to go off the frame once they're actually within the frame up here. This is just a button. So how do we create that? We can bring this one here and we can bring it underneath and make it the same size as this. This is just text. This is a really small one. So again, if you want to create this, you can just bring it in here and then just go in, drag the radius, make it a lot shorter, bring it out, bring it in. So that's that. Then there's the text, and then we've got the buttons. So again, these are just circles. So as you can see here, we've got circles, there's a stroke on it, and then if you want to change the color, you can come in here. Sorry, this is just the stroke, so we'll change the stroke to white, and we'll change this to the gold. And then if you want to make this a gradient, you can just come in, you can click the gradient up here, and then if you want to, you can just start messing around with how you'd like the gradient to look. So again, you can just go up and grab the smaller gold, and then that's basically the exact same. It's the other way around, but if you want to make it, an easy way to do it with a circle would be just to drag it around like that, and then the gradient is the exact same. So these are just the different color variations that you can get the earplugs in. I think it's definitely worth noting. And then once you have that created, these are just some stars that you can import, and yeah, we can just bring this over. We can have the earplugs brought over too. So I'm just going to drag this, I'm going to bring these over here, and then we can move on. So underneath, again, we've got one of these in purple, and then we've got some radials as well. So as you can see here, that's exactly how that design is to look. And then the radial here can just sit in the background. So that's that. And then we've got the text here down the bottom. So again, same rule applies. Text, double check what size. You can see here that here's another linear effect. So we've got the purple and the black, and then the Coachella and the switch columns are definitely going to sit on top of this too. So what we're, again, to create these, let's just break it down by structure. We've got the exact same principle of what we've done here for bringing the image in. So we've got a 2-column structure here, okay? And I'm just really going to refer now in a second to how important it is to make sure that when you're slicing these, that they're actually 300 pixels. But we'll go through that in a minute when they're slicing the design and exporting it. So again, same rule applies here. We've got a picture, we've got text, we've got the button, which align with the brand guidelines, and then we've got an image, which is these here, and you can see here that they've been cropped, and then we've got the footer down the bottom. So again, I'm just going to bring these over, and then we can move on to how we build a footer, and then also how the slicing works. So as you can see, we've got these here, and then we've got the footer. So that's how you create an effective email design in Figma. I know that there's a reference point here, but the same rules apply. The best thing that you could do here is just create a wireframe, create a structure, have a vision for what you think the brand should look like, and then have all the assets, collate the assets, look at other competitor designs for inspo, and then go from there and just break it down and just spend some time creating a nice bespoke email. So again, all you need to really focus on here is know what a frame is, know what a slice is, understand the different elements that you want to create, and you can control all that in the control panel over here. And once you do all that, it's really important to just start and making sure that you have all of your design here in order. So as you can see here, we've got lots of these slices, and this is how we're going to now start exporting the design, and then we'll compress the design. So we'll slice it, we'll export, we'll compress, and then we'll implement. After we implement, we'll review. So we're going to go through the whole process here, and we're going over to Klaviyo after this, and we're going to build out the email design of what it looks here, and it's going to look the exact same way in Klaviyo, and then we're going to cross-check it too. So as you can see here, we've got the slice tool. This is the next step. I'm happy with how the design looks. So now the important thing here is to start slicing and bringing all of your slices up the top. And the reason why we bring all of our slices up the top, you can see here on the right hand side, we've got the hero first, then we've got the hero bottom, we've got the benefits, we've got the loop earplugs, and the whole way down. The reason why we have them up the top is because they're on top of the frame. And if there's any different groups built throughout and let's say we've grouped items throughout. So for example, group 5, if this slice is underneath group 5, it won't pull the whole slice when you need to export. So the easiest way to see if it actually is working when you export, I've pulled this up the top, is you hit preview and you can see that that's working. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to slice the first one, and then it's the same rule applies for each one. I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to then show you a really important one when you want to slice a column. So as you can see here, then we've sliced that. You can come in and see exactly where it is. So really important to note, 600 pixels. Yep, that's perfect. That's the full width of the design. And then on the left hand side, you want to name it. So you can go like hero top, hero bottom, and you can just do that throughout. So what I'm going to do here is you just click this frame. This slice here, we don't need anymore because we've already got a hero one, and that was just an example. And then the next time you want to slice, if you want to slice the second one, you can come right into the corner, you can come back out, and you can pull it all the way down to where you want it to meet the next slice. You bring this over and make sure it catches the edge, and then again, hero bottom, and then then that'll work perfectly. So underneath this one, the next slice that you want to go through is this one here, and we can bring this down to just above the body copy, because the body copy is going to be content actually within Klaviyo. You can name this as benefits, and again, we don't need that now because we already have the benefits slice in. So as you can see, the top one here, we've got the benefits, we've got the second one, and we've got the third one up here. So these are 3 images that we're going to be exporting, and then underneath that we've got we can actually slice the button as well. And then underneath that, we've got the switch 1, 2, and 3. So you can see product 1, product 2, product 3. And then to see if it actually is going to export correctly, you can see on the right hand side here, there's one image. On the right hand side, there's the second. And then on the right hand side again, there's the third product. Underneath that, we've got the what's new, and we've got the loop/Coachella. So on the left hand side here, we've got the main thing here that we really want to focus on is understanding how this is going to be implemented then in Klaviyo. So when we bring this design over to Klaviyo, we're then going to build a 2-column structure, which I'm going to go through, but really make sure that this is actually 300 and it's not like 330, or it's like, let's say 337 or 3 or 5. Just make sure that's 300, because when you put that in a 50% column on Klaviyo and that's off, it's going to throw your design off. So make sure that this one and this one are both 300. 3 plus 3 equals 6. So that's the width of the email. And then again, we've got one more slice underneath here. So again, we've got a few more slices, and this is how you build the universal footer in Klaviyo. So we can go with picture. We've got the social icons that we can use in Klaviyo. We've then got a picture for let's say customer care bundles, about us, whatever products or categories or collections you think are most relevant. And then you can bring these in and build these in Klaviyo as a universal footer. It's a footer that will lie across all of your different campaigns and flows. And then if there's any changes going forward, let's say you've got a 2025 collection, if it's 2026, because this footer is universal and it changes everything in one click, it's perfect for if there's any updates across the website, that you can change it to 2026 in a click of a button, and then that changes everywhere instead of going back and looking and seeing where you actually need to change. Because you might miss stuff if you don't have a universal section here, and it's really, really important to have a universal footer. But again, I'll show you how to build that now in a minute. So the next thing here is we've double checked to see that all of the images are shown on the right hand side here. So it's now time to go and export all of the designs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click export, and as we said, we're going to click export as number 2, so 2x. We're going to export as JPEGs at a 2x for each one. PNG, JPEG, or JPEG 2x, and that's the second one, which is this. Perfect. Benefits 2x. JPEG, yep. Loop earplugs, yeah. So, and then we just work the whole way through that. We download absolutely everything, and this is just one that's just down at the bottom. We'll catch that and we'll remember that we done that one. But again, it's just always important to have it all structured out correctly and make sure that you have everything in order so you can work through it. But we'll remember that we got the one at the bottom when we export. So yeah, 2x, JPEG, export. Then we're on to the products. So product 1, which is the switch 2. So 2 JPEG. Okay, so we're just about there. And as you can see, look, let's just go through all of them and then export all of the different pictures. And then from there on, we can now go and compress the image. So as you can see, we have now exported all of our images at 2x JPEG out of Figma. We now have to compress them. So a really good website that you can use here is compressedjpeg.com. You can come in and you can upload them. So as you can see here, we're actually saving 70 or 80% across the whole board here of images. That we can now bring them over to Klaviyo, and we've actually brought them at double the size than what we designed them. So this is perfect. You can just click download all, and then we can move over into Klaviyo. Okay guys, now we're in Klaviyo. We're after being in Figma. We've went through the whole process. We've created the design. We have sliced up the campaign. We've brought it over to compress the images. We've exported them a 2x JPEG, and now it's time to start implementing and bringing over and building the design in Klaviyo. So the main thing here is that the design that you've created, if you've got another screen, or you just to make sure that you can cross-reference this. So when you're building it out, you actually have a reference point and you can build it out in the exact way that, instead of, bringing the images over, just make sure that you're always looking how you built it out, because there might be 2 column structures, 1 column structure, and you might have to build out the footer in a certain way, and so on. So What I've done here is we've actually imported our images into the image tab on Klaviyo just for ease of use. So what we're going to do here is we'll create the first image, which is this one here. Okay, so the hero. And then what we'll do is we'll just start bringing in each image. So when I'm looking at the design, I know the second image is going to be the hero bottom. I'm going to bring this over to another screen so I can look at it and cross-reference. So I can see that the second one here is this one here. So that looks perfect. A quick one on the alt text. So as you can see on the left-hand side here, the alt text basically is when an image doesn't load, it basically can tell people what is in the image. So I know, right, well, this is the hero image and I'll know all of the text that's in it. So make sure that you put in all of the copy here. So from free shipping all the way down to Luke lovers, all of this has to go in to the alt text. It ticks all of the boxes from a deliverability point of view, and it just makes sure that there's actually a description or descriptor there for the image that you're actually using. When images don't have text, we could use this exact copy and put it into this, or then you could either just put in loop earplugs. But as you can see here, once you hover it, it actually brings in the alt text. So again, once somebody hovers over it, they can read it and they can see what's in it, even though it's not loading. And then you want to put in your relevant links. So now the next thing that we want to put in are the benefits. So we'll come here, and then we'll add in the benefits. So you can see here, the slices are starting to integrate perfectly. There's a story being told here. And also, remember I mentioned earlier on that you want to have the copy big enough so when it's on mobile that you can actually see it. So if we had the 20, you can see here that now this will then compress. See the way it gets a lot smaller because the breakpoint gets a lot narrower. So we want to make sure that when you're having the copy inside an image, that's actually big enough that it'll be able to read it when it gets compressed. So that's just worth noting there in that one. Underneath this, we have the copy of the body copy. So what we want to do here is we'll bring over a text box. And within this, we want to make this the same color as the background. So when we go to the Figma design, we can then look at and see that it's 070707, and then we've got that the copy is white. So we'll come up here and we will change it to white. So the next step, which is something that you could actually just do from the very beginning, when you're creating designs and all your copy is going to be the same, is you want to go into the control panel. So up top left, you can see styles, and then you can see the template background. So this is controlling the size and the width of design, the background color. You can see here that you make a different background color. You're also changing if you want to add in images in the background or the content background. So you can see here that 600 width. That's why we created the Figma size this at 600 width. The radius, and then all the way down to the body copy. So you can see here, what we're going to do is we're going to change this to 17. And as you bring this down, if you brought this down to 16 or 15, you can see it starts changing, right? But one thing to note here and to really remember is that this is for desktop. This isn't and does not apply to mobile. So you can see here, mobile gets a lot smaller. And how you actually configure that is right down the bottom here. It says 14. So sometimes it's just easy to overlook that and think, okay, well that's 17. But on mobile, you can see now it's at 17. But by default, it was at 16. It's at 13 now. But let's bring it up to I think 16. And then also what you want to do here is click this and then click full width on mobile. So that brings that out because sometimes it just gets compressed. On desktop, you won't see that, but now it looks perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in the copy, and we know that it's center aligned. So I'm going to bring this in, I'm going to paste it, and I'm going to change it back to the white color. So again, you just click here, you can change this to white, and then we're going to center align it and bring it right into the center there. If you want to bold stuff or you want to add in links, so let's say we want to add in a link here, it could be whatever it is, but we want to remember that the link is going to be on brand. So let's say we went with kind of a light green. Again, to control the links in your emails, you come up to the styles tab and then you can click the links color. So you can see here that if you want to have it in maybe a light green, you can come in here, it's 85, etc. Click in here and then let's just put in like hashtag abc.com. sorry, abc.com. Oops. Okay. And there's the link. You can see that's white, but if you want to just change the color of it and it's not tying in, you can just come up here and then click that. If you want to bold it, you can bold it up here, but let's keep continuing with the design. So the next step here is we're going to change the image and we're going to put in the button. All right, and you can see now that the background that we've created is the exact same color and it's all starting to tie in now. If you want to add some padding at the bottom, you can do this on the left hand side here and bring this down underneath. And again, you can see it's all really tying in. And if you want to add some padding up the top, it's all looking good. Double check on mobile. Yeah, it's all looking pretty sweet now. So underneath this, we can delete this header bar. We don't need that. We can add in another image. So now we want to add in the switch to, which is this one. And again, alt text, we can add in the next image, which is the dream, which is this one. We can then add in the next image, which is the quiet 2, which I'll find it now, this one. And then we're into another image, which is what's new. So as you can see, this will be in here, what's new. And now the most important part. So when you have two images, as we saw on the design, we had the Coachella X loop on the left, and then we had the switch on the right hand side, and we were mentioning that we needed to have it at 300 pixels. So we want to have a 2-column structure here, and we want it 50-50. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to bring in a column. I'm going to drop it underneath here, and I'm going to click it as a 2-column structure. Okay, so it's going to be equal side by side, and let's just pick this one here. We're going to bring it in, and we'll add in the first image. So you could just, if you want to just duplicate this, you can bring this in here and sit it on top. Now you can pick the actual image that's relevant. So let's say the Coachella one on the left hand side, and then we can bring the next image over and we can put that on the right hand side here. So make sure that you have the right ones in order. So on the right hand side, we've got the switch too. So this all looks absolutely perfect. So one thing that's worth noting here, okay, that's really important that everybody, well, a lot of people forget. I actually saw a big brand yesterday that completely forgot to do this, is that we've built this design that we do not want these to stack on mobile, because if these stack on mobile, they're going to look off center. You can see one's on the left, one's on the right, they're different colors and everything. It's built for design first. Okay, so what you want to do here is when you click this box or this section here, click no stacking. So when you click no stacking, you can see here, they're still their own little elements. They can have their own links, their own alt text, and then that's all perfect from there on. So again, we can delete these, and now we can start putting the footer in. So now this is the main footer section. Okay, so we want to make this a universal section. And the goal here, again, as I was saying, was that I want it to be universal because we don't ever want it to change across different areas of the flows and the campaigns. So if there is a change, we can change it in one switch. So universal footer, and we'll create this, and now we're going to go in and we're going to edit it across everything. So as you can see here, edit everywhere, or you can edit independently, but in this case we're just going to edit everywhere. So again, what we can do here is just add in a image. We can add in the first part, which is the customer care, which is going to be the second. We'll bring this above here. We actually need to put in the image of the logo next. So I'll go to the second part here, and we will find the logo. We'll put this up the top, and now we're just formatting the rest of them. Again, alt text, and you're putting in the links, the correct links to the products to the sections of the website. So the next one we want to add in is the bundles. Then we want to go about us and FAQs. So bundles, we can duplicate this and we can go about us. Okay, and then the next one is the FAQs. Okay, so look, as you can see here, that's the footer built out now. We can change the styling of this if you'd like it. So you can change the color of how it looks and the color of the icons. We could go with black here to all tie in. But again, as you can see here now, we've got the footer built out. We can make these a lot smaller, and they don't need to be this big. So again, come up here and just make these a lot smaller. But just bear in mind that the links that are going to dynamically pull here are going to be the links to what you had for the light blue up top here, or the light green that you configured in the styling tab. So if you've got a black footer here and you've got the green, well, at least it's gonna pop. Whereas if you don't have a a light blue and you've got a black and you've got black links saved in the styling tab, well then you're not going to be able to see the unsubscribe link. So just bear in mind when you are creating your design. So now you want to publish the changes, and this is going to publish everywhere across the whole platform, the whole website. So look, the next step here now is you want to have a checklist that you can run through. You want to go through your alt texts, your links, all the descriptors. You want to double check all of the copy. You want to double check that the products are right, that the symbols are correct. If you're going from an Irish account, it's an Irish, there's Euro symbols. Same for UK if there's pound, and US if there's dollars. And then just make sure that even like the shipping thresholds are correct from country to country. And I've got a full checklist that all of our account managers use before they send any campaign. Even in our CRM system, we cannot send a campaign until the checklist is complete. So if you want this checklist, feel free to just leave a comment below and I can definitely pass that over to you. Happy to pass it over to you, no problem. And there's a loom actually explaining how to go through the checklist too. But in summary, check for desktop, check for mobile, check the segments are correct when you're sending out the campaign. Each campaign can be going to a different segment. Make sure the alt text is correct. Make sure the links are correct. Send yourself a test and double check that everything is laid out perfectly in correlation to the design that you created on Figma. So yeah, that's basically it. That's how you structure and set up a design from scratch. First of all, you write the copy, then you set up the template for the designer. So again, we don't just give the designer just the copy. We get the account manager to do their due diligence and research and really lay it out and say, look, here's the structure of what we're looking for. This is what's going to convert the best. And then we adhere to the brand guidelines that the designer has created and used when the client got onboarded. And then from there on, they just use their best initiative to then go and be creative and create a cool design. And then from there, the implementer can then bring the designs over, compress and slice the images, bring them over to Klaviyo, and then double check and cross check that the emails are created correctly. So yeah, look, that's how you create a design in Figma, bring it over, and then from there on you just cruise through and hit next and send the campaign out. But yeah, just remember, always double check and cross check all of the checklists, just to make sure that everything is in order before you send the campaign out. I hope you found this of some value. And if there's any ideas or anything that you'd like me to put forward or create in the future, happy to do that. Just leave a comment below, and yeah, chat to you in the next one.